They dumped dozens of cars on my ranch, claimed it's overflow parking for community use. The sun beat down on Karen's ranch, the kind of relentless heat that made the air shimmer. Her boots crunched against the dry earth as she surveyed the chaos. Dozens of cars, from beat-up sedans to gleaming SUVs, littered her once pristine land. They weren't hers. They belonged to the townsfolk of Willow Creek, who'd taken to dumping their vehicles here, claiming it was overflow parking for community events. Karen's blood boiled. This was her home, her sanctuary, not a public lot. She'd inherited the ranch from her father, a man who'd poured his soul into every acre. Now it was a junkyard. It started innocently enough. A local fair needed extra parking, and Karen, always the good neighbor, let a few cars park along her fence line. But word spread, and soon, every festival, market, or church picnic brought a flood of vehicles. No one asked. They just assumed. When she confronted the town council, they shrugged, calling it community use. Karen's protests were met with smiles and platitudes, but no action. Today, though, was different. Today, she'd had enough. She stood at the edge of her property, hands on hips, staring down Mayor Tom Haskell. He was a slick man, all charm and promises, his suit ill-suited for the dusty ranch. Beside him was Lila, a young activist who'd rallied the town to reclaim public spaces. Lila's eyes burned with conviction, her voice sharp as she waved a petition signed by half the town. "This land could serve everyone, Karen," she said. "Why hoard it? Hoard it." Karen's voice cracked like a whip. "This is my home. My father's blood and sweat are in this soil. You don't get to decide what I do with it." Tom stepped forward, palms up, playing peacemaker. "Now, Karen, the community needs this space. Growth is good for everyone. You'll be compensated." "Compensated?" Karen laughed bitterly. "You think money fixes this? You've trashed my land, disrespected my family's legacy." The argument escalated, voices rising over the hum of distant cicadas. Lila accused Karen of selfishness, of standing in the way of progress. Karen fired back, calling out the town's entitlement, their disregard for her rights. Neighbors gathered, drawn by the commotion, their murmurs forming a tense backdrop. Then, a new voice cut through the din, a gravelly, unfamiliar one. "Enough!" Old Man Carter, the town recluse, hobbled forward, leaning on his cane. No one expected him here. He rarely left his shack, let alone meddled in disputes. His weathered face was grim, his eyes locked on Tom. "You want to talk community? Tell 'em the truth, Mayor." The crowd fell silent. Tom's smile faltered. "Carter, this isn't your business." "Oh, it is," Carter growled. "I know about your deal with the developers. This ain't about parking. You're pushing Karen out so they can build condos. That's why you let the cars pile up to force her hand." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Lila's face paled, her petition slipping from her fingers. Karen's heart sank, the betrayal cutting deeper than the cars ever could. She'd trusted Tom, believed his talk of community. Now it was clear. This was a calculated move to break her. "You lied." Lila turned on Tom, her idealism crumbling. "You used us." Tom stammered, but the truth was out. The townsfolk erupted, some shouting at Tom, others at Karen, blaming her for standing in the way of their progress. Karen felt the weight of their anger, their greed, their ignorance. She wanted to scream, to fight, but her strength was slipping. That night, alone in her father's old study, Karen made a choice. She couldn't win against the town's greed, not when they'd been manipulated into seeing her as the villain. The next morning, she called a lawyer. She'd sell the ranch not to the developers, but to a conservation trust. The land would be protected, forever out of reach of those who'd defiled it. It was a bitter victory. She'd lose her home, her memories, but she'd preserve her father's legacy. As she packed her things, Lila appeared at the gate, tears in her eyes. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I thought I was doing good." Karen looked at her, the fire in her chest dulled to ash. "Good intentions don't fix broken trust," she said, turning away. The ranch was quiet now, the cars towed away, the land waiting for its new purpose. Karen drove off, her heart heavy with loss but resolute. She'd fought for what was right, even if it cost her everything. What would you do when trust is shattered and justice feels out of reach? Share your thoughts on where the line between community needs and personal rights should be drawn.